Well, howdy. I don't see what your problem is. Is that Pucas and the Frid? You said switch scenes and I did it. So yeah, welcome to totally the first stream of the night. Don't ask any questions. We haven't done any other streams tonight. I definitely did just really want to play more of this game. Okay, so now TJ joins voice chat from his car, right? Alright, we're at a graveyard for some reason. Tyrion? What are we doing here? I'm not sure. For some reason you felt drawn to this place. Wait, is that Eris? Celeste points further into the cemetery. There, you see Eris sitting in front of a gravestone. She's placing flowers on it and appears to be chanting a short prayer. TJ, why would you be in your car at this time? Well, we found her. We should probably talk to her later. It'd be rude to disturb her now. As you're about to leave, Eris suddenly turns to face you. She's far away, but you can see her beckoning you over. Hello there. Were you two looking for me? Sorry, we were looking for you, but we understand if you'd rather talk later. No, I was just finishing up here. Did you have something you want... Bro, acting like you would get in his car as if bedtime isn't in 20 minutes. Did you have something you wanted to talk to me about? Well, we wanted to ask you some questions about the case. Oh. Grave for an individual you don't know. The grave Eris was at. Her name says Emily Grant. Must have been only 12 years old when she died.
Repario Arcanum!
Okay. Damn, Maddie knows me too well. This is my first time watching a court trial. You were truly remarkable. Thank you. Were you in the gallery? I've always enjoyed watching physical battles in the theater, but I see now that battles of wits can be just as entertaining to watch. Entertaining? Yeah, I know what you mean. You see the odds are stacked against him, but then he suddenly pulls out this crazy deduction and steers the trial in his favor. I've never really thought of it like that. But I'm sure it's far more entertaining to be the one making the deductions. I'm not really sure what you mean. I practice law so I can help those persecuted by the justice system. I don't really do it to entertain myself. But is that really true? Don't you find the experience even the least bit... Did that say Lucas? No, because it definitely said something that started with an L. Don't you find the experience even the least bit entertaining, Tyrion? Doki Doki Stream 1. It is spooky month. Okay, actually, what if after Tyrion... What if when I'm done with Tyrion I did Doki Doki as a bonus stream? I could do that. It's a possibility. I wouldn't really put it that way. You're far too modest. You save people from the clutches of death. To your clients, you might as well be a knight in shining armor. Earlier you said you were studying illusion magic. I am. Did you want to ask me about the prosecution's theory? Yes, actually. How'd you know? It was easy to guess after seeing you in the courthouse. Anyways, disguising an undead with an illusion is definitely possible. And as Lady Steelman said, illusory disguise would be the best use for that. What if someone created a freestanding illusion? A freestanding illusion? Yeah, we know that Wallace didn't animate and disguise the professor's corpse, so what if the illusion wasn't disguising anything? Maybe someone created a freestanding illusion of Bellwether walking around? For something like that, one would probably use major illusion. Can't be physically touched, so the illusion couldn't have knocked over the vase. What is it? I don't think major illusion is what we're looking for. Do you remember what Jen said? See? We're on the same page. I was cleaning a mess in the hallways. Bellwether knocked over a vase and there were shards and dirt everywhere. If the Bellwether that Jen saw was a major illusion, then she couldn't have knocked over that vase. Illusions created by that spell don't have any mass. I see. How perceptive of you. Are there any other illusion spells that do have mass? No. Illusions can only recreate visual and auditory sensations, but there isn't a single illusion spell that someone can touch. Does that mean someone disguised something to make it look like Bellwether? Why the look of suspicion, Celeste? It did say Lucas? That's scary. Sorry, it wasn't... Calm down, I'm only joking. I don't blame you for considering every possibility. In fact, I'm flattered you think I'm capable of pulling off such an elaborate ruse. Anyways, this does tell us one important thing. What's that? The Bellwether that Jen saw had a physical mass to it. It wasn't a freestanding illusion, it was someone or something disguised as Bellwether. It's quite a shame, isn't it? Eris looks pensively at the gravestone. Name on the stone says Emily Grant, and her lifetime appears to be awfully short. She must have been only 12 years old when she died. So, sorry for interrupting you. Was she someone you knew? Not personally. I'm actually here on Wallace's behalf. Wallace knew her? Wallace joined the Academy as part of a program run by Headmaster Redmond. At the time, the Headmaster was reaching out to mages among the common folk. He had started a program to admit these mages to the Academy without having to pay tuition. Both Emily and Wallace were among those mages. Wow, that must have been an amazing opportunity for them. The truth is, neither of them actually cared about learning magic. The real problem was that Emily had a terminal illness. She and Wallace were poor orphans, and they obviously didn't have the resources to treat it. But if they enrolled in the Academy would be obligated to give her medical treatment. The Imperial Academy teaches the best mages in the kingdom. They thought the curing her illness would be an easy task for the Academy's healers. But they were mistaken, I'm afraid. I'm sure you know this by now, but healing spells can only treat wounds. They can't cure illnesses. Emily's condition only got worse over the years, and eventually she succumbed to her illness. Wallace was furious. He didn't understand why the kingdom was outlawing magic that could save lives. And that's why he decided to learn it himself. Don't you find the experience even the least bit entertaining, Lucas? God, this is creepy. I'm pretty sure that she's Emily. Eris has got to be a nickname for Emily, right? Just based on what we saw at the beginning of this case. Yes, the Headmaster was inspired by Wallace's resolve. He gave him access to the Academy's forbidden tomes of necromancy, and Wallace taught himself the spells that he knows today. She's Herobrine. Because also, like, if you look at the full picture there, doesn't Eris have, like, a different expression? Isn't it, like, creepy and, like, evil eye? So that's why. It was supposed to stay a secret between him and the Headmaster. But I'm sure you know how that turned out. I'm Herobrine. Oh, it's you, Mr. Cuthbert. Steelwind, what are you doing here? After what happened at the trial yesterday, we decided it would be best to start my investigation here. Right, Wallace was in the library for the entire morning, so it makes sense that she'd start her search here. Actually, since I have you here, have you seen Eris Ilmater anywhere? It's my understanding that you're both acquainted with each other. Eris? What do you want with her? It's not for anything serious, mind you. Just that oaf of a commander lost her spell compendium. Now we need her to produce another one for our records. If you see her, please let her know we'd like to speak to her. We saw her earlier in the cemetery nearby, but I have no idea where she is now. Once again, I have to compensate for that idiot's mistakes. Anyways, I was wondering if I could ask you some questions about the case. Very well. I suppose I still need to honor our deal from earlier. Have you had any luck finding the scene of the crime? How do you think I just appeared in Perf Server? Herobrine, obviously. Unfortunately, I haven't. From the witnesses' testimonies, we have a rough idea of the route Bellwether took, but none of the rooms we've checked have any sign of a struggle. Why are you so sure that a struggle happened? Well, I'm mainly basing that off the Annis' sister's testimony. Valerie, in particular, noticed that the bleeding came from a wound in her stomach. Regrettably, the body's wounds were mended, so we can't determine what kind of weapon the murderer used. During the trial, you mentioned that another witness saw Bellwether walking around yesterday. Would you be willing to tell us who that person is? I'm sorry, but I can't tell you that. Caught a little off guard. You've been pretty transparent with your investigation so far. What's changed? I have no obligation to justify myself to you, nor do I have an obligation to help the opposition. Didn't we have a deal? Hiding information doesn't exactly seem fair to us. I believe I've given you plenty of information already. So regardless of what I said before, the answer is still no. Your family is dangerous. There's something about this witness's family that you're worried about? No, this could be a feint. I'm sorry, but you'll have to try harder than that if you want to bluff me. She referred the witness as her. Furthermore, she said her family is dangerous. Why would you go to such lengths to hide the witness's identity? In any case, this looks like she's not willing to share more at the moment. Maybe you should try looking somewhere else. I've already examined all of this.
Repario Arcanum.
Locker room? I haven't been to the locker room yet, I don't think. Spend some time wandering through the academy when you overhear a conversation from a nearby room. From what I understand, Miss Steelman has already moved the investigation elsewhere. How long must I wait before I can retrieve my things? Sorry, old timer. Orders are orders. Nothing comes in or out till this case is over and done with. Commander White? And the headmaster, too? Oh, hello, Mr. Cuthbert. Hey, kid. In any case, there are other matters I must attend to. Please inform me when I can reclaim my things. Sure. Looks like Commander White is standing guard in front of this locker room. And doesn't look like he's conducting any sort of investigation. Is he on Steelman's orders? He might be able to tell you who the secret witness is. What was the headmaster talking to you about? Supposedly he has some items stored in one of the facility lockers. Problem is, Steelman says no one gets in or out of this room. Except her and you two, apparently. She won't even let the other knights in here. Really? Is that normal? Nope. Things really are when she's calling the shots. Why would she give you access to the crime scene if she wasn't even letting the knights in? Interesting. I don't know what the deal is, but she's been acting strange lately. She's been real paranoid, that girl. Frankly, I can't tell what's going through her head. You mentioned the prosecutor's been paranoid lately. Do you think it has something to do with this case? Nah, it started way before that. Lately, she's been using the Inquisition to investigate a lot of non-magical homicides. What? Wouldn't it be easier to work with the relevant law enforcement for that? I don't know why, but she's convinced that these cases have magic involved. But we scanned each and every one of those crime scenes. Nothing turned up. Gotta say, though, if it weren't for the scans, I might actually agree with her. Why do you say that? Those homicides, I haven't ever seen anything like them. They're probably some of the most screwed up cases I've ever handled. For one of those cases, we had ourselves a disgruntled spouse. She found out that a man was going around with a barkeep, and you know what the spouse does? She stalks the poor woman. Starts leaving threatening notes all around where she worked. Barkeep told the city watch all about what was happening, but no matter how much they stalked out the tavern, they could never catch the perp. And one day the barkeep arrived home, but little did she know the spouse was waiting there for her. Poor lady never had a chance. Then to tie the whole thing together, the spouse waits for her husband to get home. She cooks him a big roast, using the barkeep's remains. Gross. Wow, that story is pretty... I know. Steelman thinks someone's developed a new type of magic that can control people's minds. These homicides were some sick test run. Magic that can control people's minds? But wouldn't Mage Blight make more sense? Mage Blight? When a mage overuses their magic, it can have pretty bad consequences on their minds. They temporarily lose grip of reality and begin seeing things that aren't there. When a mage becomes like that, it almost never ends well. They enter a frenzy and begin firing spells randomly, which only makes it worse. I've seen my fair Mage Blight cases, and this isn't like that. Not all the perps were mages, and the ones that were didn't even use their magic. One thing was that each of the perps almost seemed to wake up after we arrested them. All of them said things like, "It wasn't me," or "I didn't have a choice." They didn't have a choice. What could that mean? I doubt it means anything. Sometimes people can't face the things they've done. It's easy to say you had no control and to take responsibility. Secret witness. Wonder if you can mislead the commander into revealing who the secret witness is. During the trial, Miss Steelman mentioned that someone other than Jan Hughes saw Bellwether walking around. Have you seen them around lately? We wanted to speak with them. Nice try, kid. That was worth a shot. Honestly, I couldn't tell you if I wanted to. I don't think anyone other than Steelman knows who this witness is. I sure as hell don't. What? She's even hiding it from the Inquisition commander? Why is she being so secretive? Looks like the commander doesn't know who the secret witness is either. This isn't getting us anywhere. Steelman's behavior is strange, though. Perhaps you could try analyzing her behavior. If you do that, you might be able to find a way to convince her to help you. Okay. Steelman's behavior has been strange this time around. She's hiding elements of the case even from the commander. Anyone can tell she doesn't have much faith in him. I'm standing right here. But this is the first time I've seen her hide key details of a case from him. It's motivating Steelman to keep secrets. Paranoia. Her actions must be driven by paranoia. She's been hoarding information about the case. There's only one reason she wouldn't utilize the Inquisition like she usually does. It's because she doesn't trust them. I'd say it, but that doesn't really surprise me. She's always been standoffish with us. But there is one exception. Still entrusted for this case. Us. She let us investigate the crime scenes without any restrictions. Yeah, I never really thought about that. Does she trust us that much? I don't think personal trust is the reason. Why does Steelman trust us this time? We don't usually interact with her, and she's worked with the Inquisition on plenty of cases that we weren't even involved in. Tyrion isn't controlled by the nobility. Steelwind doesn't know much about us, but she does know that we aren't prone to noble corruption. Right, you indicted a noble during the last case. Meanwhile, the Inquisition usually bends to the nobility's whims. Well, can't argue with you there. What can you infer about the secret witness? Using my insight, I could tell she's worried about the witness's family. If she's worried about corruption from the nobility, that can only mean one thing. The witness is a noble. Witness has to belong to a noble. What if I made an anime, Lucas? I'm here for it. Witness has to belong to a noble family. That's why she's so wary of interference. As long as I get, like, the anime thing where my glasses reflect all the light so you can't see eyes behind them. But we're obviously not going to do anything corrupt. Why is she hiding the witness's identity from us? I recall seeing a thought through the eye. Her family is dangerous. I think she's worried about our safety. You do or don't want that. Anime, Lucas? The glasses thing? Oh, I absolutely want the glasses thing. I think she's worried about our safety. Yeah, I guess harassing a noble could put you in danger. But I'm the protege of the infamous Ruby Tomorrow. Yeah, it's not as if we aren't already on the nobility's bad side. I'm sure the Pierce family still has it out for us. This can only mean the family we're dealing with is even more powerful than House Pierce. If the prosecutors were of them, they could even be as powerful as the Steelwinds. Wait, don't tell me you think we're dealing with one of the 4 pillars. 4 pillars? It's the name people use for the top 4 noble houses. These families stand at the top of the kingdom's aristocracy. If I recall correctly, the 4 pillars are House Frigga, House Von Sanctus, House Sybil, and House Steelwind. Steelwind is a part of one of them? Yeah, which makes it so much weirder that she's serving as a prosecutor. 4 pillars. What is it? Steelwind's weird behavior all started after she investigated this room. We had the crime scene and she left us to follow a lead. But now later she came back to the lecture hall and booted everyone out. Her behavior changed after investigating this room. I mean, she found something here. And that something must point to a family from the 4 pillars. Commander looks a bit anxious. You know, Steelwind's orders say I can't sleep around here, but you two on the other hand, don't worry, just leave it to us. I have some school records that say which locker belongs to which student. You can use it to tell whose locker you're looking at. Oh, there's an arcane construct in the back here. Probably here to aid the students. Anyways, I don't think it's relevant to our investigation. But perhaps you should make a small note of it anyways. I wonder if it was a illusory disguised cast on the construct. Open Wallace's locker. A bottle of fragrant liquid and something that looks like a makeup kit. Huh, I didn't expect Wallace to use stuff like this. It does seem strange, but it's not your place to judge. Anyway, you should look through the other lockers. Frigga. Inside you found a stack of worn out textbooks and notebooks. Wait a minute. These notebooks all have Wallace's name on them. Appears to be research on the internet. These are Wallace's notebooks. But why are they in Miriam Frigga's locker? Did Miriam steal his things? What's going on here? You and Celeste check the locker more thoroughly. Wait a minute. Tyrion, take a look at this. That's blood. I used to let I can have Anna Maddie if Maddie finds fat radical people to follow the channel that aren't burner accounts. Inside you found several bottles of some kind of transparent lotion. Something but lotion here. Oh, I wonder why a student would need this much lotion. Take one of the bottles and inspect more closely. Wait, Tyrion, don't touch this with your hands. It's some kind of sanitizing liquid. It's a little strange, but it doesn't seem to be related to the case. You open Warren Sybil's locker. Inside you find some textbooks and a neatly stacked deck of tarot cards. Oh, it's like those cards that fortune tellers use. I wonder if the student studies divination magic. But anyways, I don't think this is related to the case. We found a few... Can't believe after almost a year of knowing each other I have to work for a piece. But I can't really make any sense of it. You should look at this from the prosecutor's perspective. Steelwind found something in one of the lockers. Whose locker had the most suspicious evidence? Frigga. No matter how we look at it, we found some insanely suspicious things in Frigga's locker. It had Wallace's notebooks and even some blood. But the blood is certainly strange. It implies that something bloody was stored there. Do you think someone stole it? No, actually. I think it was Steelwind who took it. Alright, Orin mentioned that she investigated this room. You offered me one for free when I was having my lesbian crisis. She must have taken the bloody item as evidence. But with that said, there's something else that's strange about Miriam Frigga's locker. It had a lot of Wallace's possessions. It's possible that she really did steal these items from him, but it's more likely this locker isn't actually hers. Remember what Wallace told us before? Sometimes the other students would steal the ID number off my locker, then they'd switch it with the number of another locker. I thought it was funny whenever the student who owned that locker got angry with me. So someone switched the nameplates? This means that it isn't Miriam Frigga's locker, it's Wallace's. But that would mean that the bloody object came from Wallace's locker. It appears so. But if that's true, why didn't Steelwind present the bloody item during the trial? I proved that Bellwether was wounded before Valerie healed her. Wouldn't that have been the perfect time to present what she's found? It was a bloody item found in the defendant's locker, after all. She could have easily proved that the nameplates were switched too. Right, that is weird. There's something more to this you aren't seeing, but what? I think we'll just have to ask Steelwind ourselves. She was in the library, I think. Oh? We've uncovered a few things during our investigation. Miss Steelwind, are you acquainted with a student named Miriam Frigga? Underestimated. Well, you said it before, Mr. Cuthbert. I won't fall for such an obvious bluff. It's not a bluff, Miss Steelwind, and I'll prove it using the evidence we've gathered. Hey, psychological profile complete. Alright, time for the secret witness. Steelwind's paranoid. For whatever reason, sued the involvement of Miriam Frigga. If you could convince her to reveal why she's being so secretive, she might give you more information. Argument, start. Argument music is so good. Steelwind is extremely logical and won't accept arguments that aren't supported by evidence. However, she's become secretive lately and her actions seem to stem from paranoia. She's uneasy about case elements that relate to Miriam Frigga, and she's very inclined to hide Frigga's involvement from the court at all costs. You've been behaving strangely, Steelwind. Even the Knights of the Inquisition have noticed. Also, Teach, if I could be doing like the pushing glasses up pose with the glasses thing, that'd be great. Please just tell me, why are you being so paranoid? I'm not sure what you're trying to employ, Mr. Cuthbert. Nothing about my behavior has changed. We've approached this case objectively, just like I have with every other case. You've ordered the Knights to stay away from the crime scene, and you've even taken it upon yourself to conduct the investigation yourself. This is not normal behavior for a prosecutor. I took those actions because the Inquisition is incompetent. How could I possibly trust them with anything? The Knights are incompetent, but even you see the value of delegation. During Celeste's case, you still delegated tasks to the Inquisition, and you could have easily investigated the McCoy Tavern yourself. This academy is huge. You wouldn't conduct your investigation this way unless you had a good reason. Then why don't you enlighten me? Why would I act in such a way? What would cause me to behave so strangely? This is the reason you've been acting so strangely, Steelwind. What kind of weak-willed person do you think I am? Something like that would hardly cause me to change my behavior. Okay, 4 pillars. You know the Inquisition is corrupt and will bend to the nobility. So what would happen if a powerful noble were publicly involved in the case? With that noble's influence, they'd probably order the Inquisition to conceal their involvement. A high-profile noble is involved in this case, Steelwind, and I believe the noble is Miriam Frigga. Begin with this. Do you think you can bluff me by throwing out the names of random nobles? Not every noble is a malevolent criminal like Garrick Pierce. We've said it before and I'll say it again. My investigation doesn't involve the Friggas. Nothing about this case has anything to do with House Frigga. Really? Then how do you feel about this evidence in her locker? How do you explain this, Steelwind? The commander told us you were following a lead in the locker room yesterday. We investigated the lockers of students from the 4 pillar families, and we found stains of blood in the locker with Miriam Frigga's ID number, and it was presumably left by a bloody object. The bloody object was taken by someone, and we heard you became extremely paranoid after you found something in the locker room. If I had to guess, I'd say that you took the bloody object as evidence. What evidence do you have to support these outrageous claims? What? The only thing you have is evidence of a blood stain. There's a myriad of explanations for that. Everything else you mentioned is pure speculation. You can't prove that piece of evidence exists. I could have found any number of things in that room, or possibly nothing at all. Extremely logical. Let's not be coy. Anyone can tell the bloodstain? No. She's inclined to hide Frigga's involvement in the court at all costs. If you don't present what you found to the court, I'll have no choice but to pull the owner of that locker onto the stand. You found an object in the locker with Miriam Frigga's nameplate on it. What if we get 100 yik-yackers from your yik-yak? If you don't present what you found to the court, I'll have no choice but to pull the owner of that locker onto the stand. It's ridiculous. We both know the locker in question belongs to Wallace Nightgrave. Can you unequivocally prove that, Miss Steelwind? Because the way I see it, there's a lot of room for doubt there. Enough doubt for me to pull Miss Frigga onto the witness stand. If I had more context, maybe I wouldn't have to resort to that. Argument 1. Well played, Mr. Cuthbert. I suppose I don't have a choice, do I? You've successfully persuaded Arya Steelwind. The truth. Just so we're clear, I wasn't acting to protect the nobility, but I'll admit Miriam Frigga was the other witness that saw Bellwether that day. I see. I had some suspicions, but there's also another matter. When I was investigating the body, I found this. Evidence detailing multiple instances of plagiarism, fraud, bribery of school officials, and other various offenses committed by Miriam Frigga. Ooh! What the? It looks like Miriam's been cheating at school. But why would Bellwether have something like this? From the way it's arranged, I think it might have been blackmail. Miriam Frigga is considered a prodigy in the practice of conjuration magic. She's won a litany of awards, and she'll most definitely graduate with honors. I'll deadass make one for each 5 legit followers to the channel we get. If these foils were to reach the public, it would absolutely ruin her reputation. Do you think the professor was trying to threaten her? It appears so. When I discovered that several elements of the case were still unknown, I decided to look through her belongings, and I mistakenly looked through the locker with her ID. I found this in that locker. A rapier covered in blood. It was found in Wallace Nightgrave's locker. Apparently it's a valuable family heirloom to House Frigga. It was reported stolen by Miriam Frigga weeks before the murder. It's very likely that this is the murder weapon. This rapier is a valuable family heirloom for House Frigga. And a few weeks ago, Miriam reported the rapier was stolen from her room. And then it was found in Wallace's locker. Not that I'm complaining, but why didn't you present this in court? To be honest, I'd like to avoid involving House Frigga by any means necessary. I knew it! You're just protecting her, aren't you? Mr. McCoy, do you recall how Ivengard's justice system works? To acquit a defendant needed to unequivocally prove they didn't commit the crime. To do that, they either need a solid alibi, or we need to prove that someone else committed the crime. What do you suppose will happen if you bring Miriam Frigga onto the stand? House Frigga won't allow one of its members to be indicted in a court of law. They'll plant and forge evidence to implicate your defendant, and they'll use the Inquisition to do so. So that's why you've been keeping them away from the investigation. Can't you do anything? The Steelwinds are powerful too, aren't they? We don't have the support of my house. Right now I'm just a prosecutor, nothing more. Steelwind, you know that this isn't fair for us. Just do nothing. Do nothing and let us win. Celeste! If we can't go after Miriam, you can at least help us save Wallace. I'm not going to do that. Why? What if Miriam Frigga is the real killer? Her sword is the murder weapon, and Bellwether was trying to blackmail her. We seem to recall another case where an innocent person's sword was used to frame them. That's... As a prosecutor, it is not my place to decide who's guilty and who's not. I won't engage in corruption, even if it's counter-corruption from another noble house. I'm sorry. Do you know where Miriam is right now? Didn't you hear what I just said? You can't let her think there's even the slightest possibility you'll indict her. She'll bring the entire wrath of House Frigga down on you. Regardless, I can't do anything for Wallace unless I know everything that happened. Frigga has the last of the piece I need to put everything together. Well, I suppose I don't have much of a choice, do I? Her dormitory room is 107. I imagine she'll be there considering classes are suspended. Thank you, Steelwind. If I don't tell you, I'm sure you'll probably just find out using some other means. But please, Mr. Cuthbert, be careful. Dorm room 107. Please ignore my constant Eugene Krabs impression. My glasses are off. follow Miss Steelman's direction and find Miriam Frigga's dorm room. The door leading inside seems a lot more ornately decorated than the other dorms. You go to knock on the door, but you don't realize it's only partially closed. As your fist comes into contact with the wood, you accidentally push the door wide open. Huh? Excuse me? How dare you barge into my room? Sorry, I meant to knock, but... Construct, remove these hoodlums from my room! Acknowledged. From the corner of the room, an arcane construct stands up and starts making its way towards you. Before you can protest, it raises its fist to hit you. You only have enough time to raise your arms and brace yourself for the impact. Close your eyes and wait for the blow. But instead, you hear the clang of steel against steel. Confused, you open your eyes and see Celeste standing between you and the construct. Her sword is drawn and she's using it to block Construct's fist. Upon taking a closer look at Celeste, the student stares curiously at her. Construct, stand down. Acknowledged. I'm terribly sorry for that. I wasn't aware this was your servant. Celeste looks angry but puts away her sword without a word. I haven't noticed you around campus. Are you a new student? If she has a personal attendant, she must be important. What? You see an opportunity. Yes, my master just enrolled here recently. What? Celeste gives you a puzzled look, but you make a silent gesture back. After a moment, she seems to realize what you're doing. Yes, I just started here. I take it you're Miriam Frigga? Yes, I'm honored that you recognize me. It's a pleasure to make your acquaintance, Ms. I'm Celeste. Steel. I'm Celeste Steelwind. Can't believe her. There's no way she's going to believe. Steelwind? It's a pleasure to meet another member of such an esteemed house. She must be from a branch family. Probably we can use her. Wait, she's actually buying this? I just moved in. I love that it changed to Celeste. Steelwind. I just moved in, and I thought I should introduce myself. Seeing as you're a top student in the field of conjuration. Yes. No, there's no backing out now. Extravagant bed. Dresser. It would probably be a bad idea to take a close look at Miriam here. Table for guests.
Repario Arcanum.
Nothing. Questions. Miss Frigga, I was wondering if we could ask you some questions about... Excuse me? I don't believe anyone has permitted you to speak. Oh, here we go. Celeste's still smiling, but you can faintly hear her grinding her teeth together. So, we heard about what happened to Professor Bellwether. I can't believe it. Yeah, it's so tragic what happened to her. She's always been an acquaintance of House Frigga. She appears to be more receptive to Celeste. It might be better to let her take the lead on questioning. I heard that you saw her on the day of the murder. Could you tell us more about what happened? Oh, you heard about that from your relative, did you? If you don't mind me asking, why are you so interested? She's not like Arya, is she? Oh, you know, I'm just curious is all. You know how uneventful life can be sometimes, being a noble and all. Alright, tone it down. Oh, is that all? I was worried you were going down the same path as that poor, confused Arya. What does she mean by that? But I'm in the middle of a study break anyways. I suppose I'll have some time to sate your curiosity. Construct, please prepare some tea. Use that lotus tea we imported from the Eastern Kingdoms. She could be useful if I can win her favor. Acknowledged. Lotus tea? You have lotus juice? I feel like you're slowly losing control. I heard that you saw the professor on the day of the murder. Where did this happen? I was in the hallways when I saw her coming out of the headmaster's office. She was heading towards the library. Do you remember what time this happened? Not really sure, honestly. It's a little embarrassing, but I have a bad habit of getting too absorbed in my work. Sometimes I'll let entire hours pass without noticing. Do you have a rough idea, at least? I think it was in the morning. She thinks it was in the morning. But anyways, did anything seem off about her? No, it was a short encounter. I merely greeted her and she responded in kind. Or at least that's what should have happened. In small motions, you shake your head to indicate Miriam's holding back. Were you and the professor really on good terms? I heard she was pretty mean toward the other students. Toward the riffraff, maybe, but not just students like us. She was a great ally to House Frigga. At least she used to be. That's why we were planning on appointing her as the new headmaster. Wait, what did you just say? Did you say that your family is going to appoint Bellwether as the new headmaster? Oh, I'm surprised you didn't know. House Frigga holds several seats on the Academy's board. We were making plans to have her replace that lout Redmond. You're going to sack the headmaster? Did Headmaster Redmond know about this? Oh, of course not. This is part of a large-scale plan. Along with Redmond, we are also going to replace all the staff members with arcane constructs. We have to keep everything under wraps, or else the help would have left prematurely. And where would that leave us? But John supposedly overheard Bellwether talking about the constructs. Did Bellwether prematurely reveal the plan, or was John lying about how he found out? But alas, with Bellwether gone, we'll have to delay our plans. Interesting. So we heard that Arya took your rapier as evidence for the case. Can you believe her? She still won't give it back to me. My father will have my head if I can't get it back soon. How did it even become part of the investigation anyways? I don't know. Arya won't tell me anything. I swear, if that necromancer was the one who stole it, I'll execute him myself. So someone did steal it from you? Yes, from right out of my room. When did this... Your mean girl voice is incredible. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. When did this happen? About a few weeks ago. I noticed when I came back from one of my classes. It's like Regina George is in the room with us. Someone removed the rapier from its display case in my room. How did they get into your room in the first place? Do you think someone used magic to teleport past the door? Please, I'm a master of conjuration magic. If someone attempted that, my enchantments would have shunted them out. This means the thief came through one of the doors or windows. I bet it was that necromancer. I'm sure a street child like him just knows how to pick a lock. I've heard that you're one of the Academy's top students. Your grades must be amazing. Of course! As the inheritor of House Freyga, my grades are impeccable. It's strange. You don't see anything contradictory through the eye this time. You make a gesture towards Celeste to continue pressing her. Oh, what kind of magic do you study here? You must be joking. I study magic from the School of Conjuration, just like most members of my house. School of Conjuration? That's the type of magic that specializes in spatial manipulation and teleportation, right? Yes, I consider myself quite the expert in that field. Why, the Crown Prince himself has asked for my assistance in a research study. It's nice to work with someone of my caliber. Again, nothing that contradicts what she's saying. Is she not lying? If she's smart enough to get the Crown Prince's attention, why would she be cheating? You said something about my wayward relative before. Were you talking about Arya? Oh, I'm terribly sorry if I offended you. Well, I'm sure it must pain you to see the way she's been acting lately. Yes, it's been extremely hard. Hang in there, Celeste. Did you know that she even interrogated me about the murder yesterday? Can you believe it? A Steelwind running around a crime scene like a common knight. Why, if I tried something like that, my father would disown me. Does the nobility not approve of Steelwind becoming a prosecutor? I always thought it is strange. What's motivating her to do this? Honestly, she probably thinks she can do anything just because of her betrothed. Aster deserves better. Celeste's eyes perk up upon hearing this. You'd be lying if you weren't also curious about who this Aster is, but you shoot her a stern look that tells her to stay focused. You can't risk blowing your cover for some gossip. You have an arcane construct in your room. I thought they only had them in the library and the locker room. This construct was a gift from House Von Sanctus. I have to say, they're quite convenient to have around. They look really cool. Maybe I should get one. You should. A construct would be far more useful than this attendant of yours. Unfortunately, there are still some issues with their intelligence. Their intelligence? There are issues when you give them complex commands. Might be easier to show you. Enters the construct, begins gesturing towards it. Construct, please retrieve my textbooks and bring them there. Then cast Steelwind Strike at this location. After that, retrieve some plates and set them out at this table. Acknowledged. What? The construct stands up and receives Miriam textbooks from one of the shelves of the room. Brings to the table you're sitting at like she ordered. But then it stops moving. Wait, what happened? The construct obviously can't cast Steelwind Strike, so my second command was impossible to carry out. But did you notice something else? It ignored your third command too. Correct. My third command was possible to carry out. So why did it ignore that command? Constructs execute a series of commands in the order that they're given. But let's say one of those tasks is impossible to complete. When the construct gets to that task, it'll deem the entire series impossible to complete. As a result, it will stop executing the series altogether. So if a task in a series of commands are impossible, that command will interrupt the series of commands. Exactly. Not good interrupt handling logic. You gotta have a better kernel than that. Interesting. Lady Steelwind, I'm afraid we must leave now if you want to make our next engagement. Oh, right. Let's go, servant. Oh, leaving already? It was a pleasure talking to you. Yeah, sure. Hope to see you around. Make your way back to the foyer with Celeste. With all the time you spent, you only have a brief amount of time before night falls. Are you sure you didn't want to talk to her more? We are getting a lot out of her. We already got a lot of useful information out of her. The more time we spend with her, the more likely she is to see through our ruse. Right. So, why Steelwind? I don't know, I panicked! Arya's like the only noble I know. What about Pierce? I'm not using that creep's name. Well, hopefully Steelwind doesn't mind us borrowing her name. And we got her statement on what she saw that day. Excuse me. And there's also what she said about her rapier. I bet she was lying when she said it was stolen. She was probably trying to establish an alibi. I'm not so sure. Why do you say that? Doesn't it feel too obvious? If she was lying about the rapier being stolen, that would imply she planned all of this in advance. But if she had to choose a murder weapon, why would she choose something that literally has her name on it? I'd understand if the murder was a spur-of-the-moment decision. She might have just used something nearby in this case. But if this was a premeditated murder committed by Miriam, that rapier would be the last weapon she was to choose. Right, I guess that makes sense. There's also the evidence of academic dishonesty. It doesn't match up with what we heard from Miriam. You know all that stuff about working with the crowned prince? She's probably just making things up to look good in front of me. I have an insight when it comes to things like this. Under normal circumstances, I can usually tell when someone's lying, and a lie as grandiose as that would be something I would definitely see through. People can subconsciously shield themselves from lie horrors, even if they don't know about it, but when they do that, you usually can't see any thoughts from them. You also saw that she was lying about her encounter with Bellwether. You would have seen distant thoughts if she was lying about her grades. I guess I'll trust your insight, but what does this mean? I don't know. Even with everything we found, I'm still not sure who the real culprit is. At the very least, I think we should still try to pull Miriam onto the stand. If she testifies in court, I might be able to find something I can use, but that's a big maybe. If you don't play your cards just right, you'll spook the Fregas enough for them to pay off the judge. Either way, it's getting late. We'll probably have to turn in soon. Yeah, just hope you did enough to acquit Wallace. Alright, courtroom time. Court is now resumed for the trial of Wallace Nightgrave. Let us review the proceedings from yesterday. It was revealed the trace of necromancy may have not been left by the defendant. It may have been left by a witness who used necromancy to attempt to heal the victim. However, the victim was seen by witnesses well after her time of death. This could only be explained by the defendant using necromancy to animate the victim's body. This leaves the question, where did the murder take place? Does the prosecution have an answer for this? Based on the testimony of several witnesses, it is very likely the murder took place in the library. Interesting. What led you to this conclusion, Miss Steelwind? First, I'd like to remind the court where the victim was sighted before the body was found. It began when the victim had a meeting with the headmaster near the center of the building. Our meeting was scheduled for 12 p.m. According to my schedule for that day, our meeting lasted for an hour. This brings us to the statement of the next witness, a student at the academy. The student saw the victim walking in the hallways. I saw her coming out of the headmaster's office. She was heading toward the library. Which means that our first witness saw Bellwether leave the headmaster's office. Presumably this would have happened after her meeting there. That would time the encounter at around 1 p.m. The other event is the discovery of the body, which was when Valentina Yanis contacted security. I suddenly spotted the professor lying in a pool of blood in the classroom. Valentina used a communication device to call for help while I tried to save her. That was not good. So we've already established this event occurred at 3:04 p.m. But the significance of this time is in what occurred before the body was discovered. The second witness, a member of the cleaning staff, spotted the victim in the west wing hallway. Bellwether knocked over a vase, and there were shards and dirt everywhere. It was probably 20 or 30 minutes before the twins found the body. This means that this encounter must have happened no later than 2:30 p.m. And this implies that the victim was near the library between 1 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. According to the defendant's statements, he was in the library during this time period. Furthermore, the time of death was at 2:07 p.m. This means that Mr. Hughes saw the victim's animated body. I see. Your deduction certainly tracks, Miss Steelwind. What do you have to say in your defense, Miss Cuthbert? The prosecution's argument is definitely well thought out, Your Honor. However, it's entirely predicated on the testimonies of all the witnesses involved. Steelwind's deduction has to have a hole somewhere, and since your conversation yesterday, I have a feeling that Miriam is hiding something. If you want to get the truth, you'll need to drag that out of her through cross-examination. Your Honor, to test the validity of these claims, the defense would like both of these witnesses to testify. The defense calls Miriam Frege to the stand. Frege? At the mention of her name, the judge's face turns a bit pale. I had a feeling it would come to this. Do you have any objections, Miss Steelwind? I do not, Your Honor. Very well. Bailiff, please escort Lady Frege to the stand. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the— You little snakes! How dare you deceive me? Oh, it looks like she found out. I had the opportunity to debrief the witness beforehand. Miss McCoy, for the record, I told you to exercise discretion. I did not mention you should impersonate a member of my family. Yeah, sorry about that. I gave you all of the tea that I had imported from the Eastern Kingdoms. I demand that you return it to me. No, you gave them to me. They're legally mine now. Ahem. I'm not sure what your business with the witness is, Miss McCoy, but I ask that you please handle your personal disputes outside of the courtroom. Anyways, Miriam, could you please testify to the court about your encounter with the victim? Very well. Witness testimony. I was working on a research project in my dorm room when I decided to take a break. I left my room and went on a walk. That's when I saw Professor Bellwether exiting the headmaster's office. She was walking in my direction, so I greeted her and she responded in kind. After that, she headed toward the library. A short time after that, I went back to my room and continued my work. I see, so it was only a brief encounter. However brief it was, the witness's testimony verifies two things. One is that Miss Frege saw the professor exiting the headmaster's office. The other is that she witnessed the victim head toward the library. This gives us a rough timeline of where the victim was before her death. That does seem consistent. Did Bellwether really enter the library that day? You feel like you would have seen her there if she did. Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Her testimony seems pretty straightforward, but she could still be lying. I'm honestly not sure. I just have to focus on her statements about how Bellwether acted. Did anything seem off about her? No, but it was a very short encounter. It's not as if we stopped to have a conversation. You said that you greeted her and she responded. What words did she use? Well, why is that important? Miss Frege, it's possible that someone used illusion magic that day. Every detail about the victim's interactions could be important. Well, I bid her good morning, and she said good morning in response. Did you see her enter the library? I didn't, but there's not much else in that direction. From the testimony of John Hughes, we know she later came from the library. Even if she didn't enter the library, she was still in that area for more than an hour. And you're sure you saw her exit the headmaster's office? Yes, I remember it clearly. I was surprised she was still meeting with the headmaster at all. She must be talking about how they were planning to replace her. Did you interact with the professor at all, Miriam? Testimony seems pretty straightforward. She could still be lying. Not sure. We'll have to focus on the statements about how Bellwether acted.
Objection!
Your Honor, it's clear the witness's testimony is contradictory, and this piece of evidence proves it. I fail to see how that proves anything, Mr. Cuthbert. Oh, I guess you're right. Going to stay in chat while I go shower, but if you end before I'm back, thank you for the totally not second stream of the night. I've been enjoying this game a lot. Who's to say how much longer we're gonna go, Velvet? Hopefully I'll be able to finish this case tonight, but we'll see. But I'm glad you're enjoying this game. I am also enjoying this game a lot. Good luck, soldier. I have no idea what I'm doing here. Was this research part of your schoolwork? It was an independent study to develop a new conjuration spell formula. The project is being sponsored by the Crown Prince himself. I wasn't aware he was involved in such a study. Of course you wouldn't. Did you expect to know every aspect of his life, dear Arya? Sense a bit of aggression. If you don't keep an eye on him, House Frege might just steal him from you. Is Steelwind betrothed to the Crown Prince? As if His Holiness would align himself with your rapacious family. Our banking houses form the economic infrastructure of our kingdom, but perhaps they'll come to the Steelwinds if he needs to clear a den of goblins. With all due respect, may we please focus on the matter at hand? Of course, Your Honor. How long did you leave your dorm room? Only for a few minutes. I try not to let my breaks go for too long. And you didn't see the professor again after your first encounter? No, I did not. Just focus on statements about how Bellwether acted. I have returned to say goodnight. Good night, Teach. Wait, from the headmaster's office to the library, the lecture halls are also in that direction. Not that. Not that.
Objection!
Good stream, looking forward to more of this game. Your Honor, it's clear the witness' testimony is contradictory, and this piece of evidence proves I feel to say how that proves anything. Good night. Died at 2:01 p.m. What is contradictory here? She was walking towards me.
Objection!
Maybe? I doubt it. No. That's not it. I think I've pressed everything here.
Objection!
No, that's not it. You sure as Arx, the headmaster's office armor clearly it was weird that she was. So Arx and him.
Objection!
No, that's not it. This one is straightforward, but she could still be lying. Not sure. We have to focus on her statements about how Bellwether acted. Would it be Jen's statement?
Objection! Objection! Objection!
That wouldn't be it. That wouldn't be it. No. 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 No.
Objection!
You're certain nothing seemed off about her? Yes, like I said, it was a very short encounter. Why did she say that? It only happened for a few seconds. Witnesses' interactions are not what's important here. It matters that she witnessed where the victim was coming from, where she went afterward. Why did she say that? Why did she say what? Did you see her into the library? There's not much else in that direction.
Objection!
Wait a second. It was 1 p.m. Why would she have said good morning? Miss Frege, if I recall correctly, you have a habit of getting absorbed in your work, so much so that you'll even lose track of the time of day. Yes, but what does that have to do with my testimony? Earlier in today's proceedings, the prosecutor made the following argument. God, that took me too long to figure out. Our first witness saw Bellwether leaving the meeting with the headmaster. That would time this encounter around 1 p.m. Miss Frege, if you had said good morning to the professor, you would have been mistaken, because that encounter could only have happened during the afternoon. And your point is? You said it yourself, Mr. Cuthbert. The witness simply lost track of time. What the witness said isn't what's important here. The significance is what the professor said in response. She had just come out of a meeting that was scheduled for noon. She would be well aware that it was no longer morning. So why would she respond, good morning? Wouldn't she have corrected the witness? Her encounter was extremely short, and the victim's mind may have been preoccupied. She could have easily responded to the witness without thinking. To be honest, I kind of agree with her. It's not hard to believe they were both confused about the time. It's a stretch, but you can't shake the feeling she's hiding something. I picked something up. There has to be something there. Miss Frege, you haven't been entirely truthful in your testimony, have you? That's absurd. What reason would I have to lie? Every detail about how she acted is important, Miss Frege. What aren't you telling us? Mr. Cuthbert, you have no basis to accuse the witness of perjury. Yes, you will stop this at once. Miss Frege, you're lying about how Bellwether responded to your greeting, aren't you? All she did was yell? Miss Frege, is it possible that Bellwether's response was less than friendly? What do you care? What difference does it make? My job is to make sure every part of your testimony is truthful. Every detail matters, no matter how seemingly insignificant. Mr. Cuthbert, you will stop this or I'll find you in contempt. The professor yelled at you, didn't she, Miss Frege? So what if she did? Sorry, but there's no going back on what you just said. So you do admit that she yelled at you. You impertinent little... Yes, I admit it. The professor didn't greet me back that day. Oh, good morning, Professor. I don't even remember what her voice was. Be quiet. Huh? She yelled at me to be quiet. But until then, we'd always been nothing but courteous with each other. I don't know what got into her that day, but something put her in a foul mood. But that's it. Everything else I said was the truth. I did see her come out of the headmaster's office and walk towards the library. So she wasn't lying about that. Is that total, Mr. Cuthbert? What do you mean, is that all? You badgered this witness. Also, you could prove what exactly? The witness committed perjury. The witness changed a small detail of her testimony. A detail that is inconsequential to the case. It was clearly an act with no malicious intent. Seeing your thoughts, it's hard to disagree with that. You're so sure the eye would lead you somewhere, but Frege was only lying to save face. The witness saw the victim leave the headmaster's office and head toward the library. Do you have any concrete evidence to refute that, Mr. Cuthbert? No, I suppose I don't. Is this really okay? At this rate, this will be the only chance you have to cross-examine her. I don't think she's lying anymore. I was really pushing my luck earlier. If I continue pressing her, the judge might actually charge me with contempt. But if Miriam isn't the one lying, then... The defense has no further questions for the witness, Miss Steelwind. Very well, Miriam. You're dismissed. Miriam still looks like she's fuming, but she leaves the room without protest. The judge breathes a sigh of relief. Now, with that out of the way, what else do you have, Mr. Cuthbert? The only way to refute the prosecutor's theory is to cast doubt on one of the witnesses. If it wasn't Miriam, then... Steelwind, to test your theory, you must question every witness that saw the victim that day. So with that said, the defense would like to call John Hughes to the stand. I hope you understand, Mr. Cuthbert. Your entire case rests on the assumption that one of the witness accounts is incorrect. If your cross-examination, Mr. Hughes, leads nowhere, then I hope you're ready to concede. I like the sound of it, but she's right. Unless you can find something in Jan's testimony, you don't really have anything to disprove her theory. Bailiff, please bring in Mr. Hughes. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the courtroom. Witness, name and occupation. Right. My name's John Hughes. I'm on the cleaning staff of the academy. Mr. Hughes, please testify to the court about your encounter with the professor that day. Sure. Witness testimony. Saw the professor and I was cleaning the West Wing's hallways. It was about 20 or 30 minutes before the body was discovered. She walked by me, but she looked pretty out of it. I heard she was undead when this happened. Pretty creepy if you ask me. After that, she went to the empty classroom. Well, that was straightforward. What are you supposed to do with that? I don't know. You guys are the lawyers. I'm just telling you what I saw. Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Saw the professor was cleaning the West Wing hallways 20-30 minutes before the body was discovered. She walked by me but looked pretty out of it. She was undead, pretty creepy. Did anything else look off about her? I mean, yeah, she wasn't undead after all. That remains to be proven. If you say so. Anyways, what was her demeanor like? She looked like she was in a bad mood. Either that or she was tired, but I guess she was just dead inside, literally. I believe you've forgotten a few details about what the professor did. Yeah, sorry, it's hard to remember these things sometimes. Did she touch anything? Did she touch anything? Oh, yeah, she knocked over a vase and shattered it. Might have been an accident, but she's done stuff like that on purpose before. This detail could be extremely important. Please add it to your testimony, Mr. Hughes. Whatever you say, man. I heard she was undead, which is pretty creepy because she knocked over a vase. He's not giving us a lot to work with. He tends to leave out details and I just ask the right questions. How are you so sure it was 30 minutes before? I always check the time to make sure I'm on schedule. I was supposed to finish cleaning the halls by 3 p.m. Alright, the body was discovered at 3:04 p.m. What was the professor like, Mr. Hughes? I believe you've forgotten a few... Sorry to remember these things. Did she interact with you at all? Oh yeah, I didn't notice her at first and accidentally got in her way. She shoved me to the side and kept walking forward. This detail could be important, please add it to your testimony. Because she pushed me out of her way. Did she make any sense? Did you hear her make any sounds? Oh yeah, after she knocked over the vase, she yelled at me to be quiet. I didn't even say anything. This detail could be extremely important, please add it to your testimony. Whatever you say, man. It's the same thing she said to Miriam. What do I present for this?
Objection!
Can always things. Your Honor, no. I cannot speak.
Objection!
Aha! Mr. Hughes, you said the bellwether yelled at you. What were her exact words? I think she yelled at me to be quiet. What? I thought it was weird. I didn't even say anything. But I know better than to talk back to her. That's the thing, Hughes. The prosecution's theory is as such. The professor was murdered in the library and was reanimated using animate corpse. With a quick illusion spell, no one would notice she's undead. However, if what you saw was truly the undead bellwether, how did she speak to you? Huh? This doesn't make any sense. Mr. Hughes, undead can follow simple orders, but they don't have the intelligence to speak. Perhaps the witness was mistaken. No, I'm sure I heard her yell at me. I remember because what she said didn't make any sense. Exactly, he didn't say anything, but she still yelled at him to be quiet. Wait a minute. I'm afraid I don't understand. We've already established the victim was dead long before our encounter with Mr. Hughes. But if what he saw wasn't undead, what was it? It had to be an undead. What other explanation is there? Couldn't have been a major illusion, otherwise it wouldn't have been able to shove it. Does that mean it was a person? No. Bellwether wouldn't be able to. Whatever Jen said, you have something to support the body. Also need to have mass and the ability to speak. Created the voice, or at the very least, it needs. That's it. Do you have an answer for us, Mr. Cuthbert? What did the witness actually see? Your Honor, the witness didn't actually hear the dead victim speaking. What he actually heard was her voice being recreated using magic. Are you trying to say her voice was recreated using a spell? Not a spell, Steelwind. It was artificery. And whoever the murderer is, they had the perfect piece of artificery available to them. One programmed with Catherine Bellwether's voice. You can't possibly mean... That's right, Steelwind. What Mr. Hughes saw was an arcane construct. An arcane construct. Think of it as a magically animated suit of armor, Your Honor. But we ruled out such a possibility, hadn't we? Construct or not, no one could disguise themselves and carry the body to the classroom. A person wouldn't have been able to do it. But arcane constructs are a different thing entirely. These suits of armor are extremely large, but more importantly, they're hollow. I see. That means theoretically someone could have placed the victim's body inside it. The arcane construct wouldn't just transport the body. With an illusory disguise, it would also confuse and mislead anyone who saw it.
Objection!
We commend your deduction, Mr. Cuthbert. We would have never considered that possibility. It's certainly plausible, but what does this prove exactly? It proves the body wasn't animated using necromancy. My client isn't the murderer. The defendant is still capable of performing all the acts you described. His compendium contains illusory disguise after all. There were several students in the library that day. Any of them could have committed the murder. One might come to that conclusion if they didn't have one crucial piece of evidence. I'd like to present a new piece of evidence to the court. Blood, is that? Yes, Your Honor. This is the murder weapon. She was saving that for the perfect moment, wasn't she? This rapier was reported stolen by Miriam Frago weeks before the murder. During the investigation, it was finally found in the defendant's locker. Oh, wait. He was clearly trying to use one of her possessions in a paltry attempt to frame her. Why, he even stole her locker's nameplate and placed it over his. Damn it, that's not what happened, but honestly, it sounds more plausible than what really took place. We're basically back to square one, aren't we? Anyone could have told that construct to do those things. Anyone? Is that really true? The construct transported the professor's body, and someone used an illusion to make it look like her. They even used a pre-recorded voice to make the illusion more convincing. Who ordered the construct to hide the body? Could anyone have done that? Voice lines can only be No, that's not right. Constructs are available to students, but not all their functions are related to that. Mr. Hughes, you said the bellwether yelled at you. What were her exact words? I think she yelled at me to be quiet. Yelled at me to be quiet. Be quiet. Sorry. Be quiet. Eris begins giggling. She seems amused by what's happening. Construct's voice is just a series of pre-recorded messages. I'm not sure if you noticed they use the voice. Unfortunately, you can't make them say anything other than this recording. Only the headmaster can change those settings. No, it can't be him. What is it, Tyrion? Did you figure something out? I did. But is he seriously the one behind all this? Miss Steeland, earlier you said that my client could have orchestrated this entire ruse, but that's simply not true. How so? Anyone could have ordered the construct to carry out the victim's body. Yes, but not everyone can change what the constructs are able to say. Only one individual has the credentials for that. Theodore Redmond, headmaster of the Imperial Academy. Wait, you're not serious, are you? You think the headmaster did all this? I don't want to believe it. But he's the only person who could have done it. It's completely ridiculous. Headmaster Redmond would never do something like this. Miss Steelwind, there's one common element between each of the witnesses' encounters with Bellwether. It's what Bellwether said to them. She yelled at both of them to be quiet. Miriam Frege was particularly surprised. She had a good relationship with the professor, but when greeted by the professor, Bellwether just shouted at her, almost as if the professor was responding indiscriminately. And recall her encounter with John Hughes. The professor knocked over a vase and shouted at him to be quiet immediately after, even though he hadn't said anything. She was responding to the sound of the vase breaking. Now let me ask you this, Steelwind. Where did Bellwether come from before she encountered Miss Frege and Mr. Hughes? Her meeting with the headmaster. Shit, I was sure that Eris was the murderer. It appears the defense truly means to indict Theodore Redmond. So we have no choice but to take a brief recess until he can be brought here. There's no need. Fortunately for you, I'm already in the gallery. The headmaster stood up. Has he been here the entire time? Now please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Cuthbert, but do you think I am the one who committed this crime? I'm sorry, Redmond, but no matter how I look at it, everything I found points to you. No, there's no need to apologize. In fact, I should commend you on the lengths you're going to defend dear Wallace. Court appreciates your understanding, Mr. Redmond. Now then, to clear the air, I suppose I should give my testimony on what happened that day. That day, I had a meeting scheduled with the professor at noon. She showed up at the expected time and we discussed various administrative matters. We're so back. Our meeting went on for an hour, after which she left to prepare for her next class. Despite our many disagreements, we still knew how to be civil with one another. After all, I had no reason to bear a personal grudge against her. That's not true. I just can't see it. He seems like such a nice person. Is he really the person we're looking for? Has to be. No one else could have orchestrated this entire plot. I have no reason to bear a personal grudge.
Objection!
Redmond, did you really hold no animosity toward Professor Bellwether? Of course not. I did have strong opinions about her methods of teaching, but I always remained professional. We both did. Frankly, I find that hard to believe. In fact, I think you might have had a very good reason to murder the professor, considering she was going to take your job. What? So you knew about that. I'm sorry, but I don't follow. Just how is the professor going to take the headmaster's job? According to Miriam Frigga, Catherine Bellwether was currying favor with the noble families. In fact, there was a plan to oust Mr. Redmond and appoint Bellwether as the new headmaster of the academy. What? But in any case, I doubt the headmaster had any idea of this until now. I'd like to remind the court of the witness's reaction just now. He said, "So you knew about that." His reaction was one of surprise. But he wasn't surprised by this information. He was surprised that I knew this information. That's... Please, dear Arya. I may be a frail old man, but I'm perfectly capable of defending myself. If you have an explanation, Mr. Redmond, then by all means I'd love to hear it. Gladly. New witness testimony. It is true that I knew about the Frigga's plot beforehand, but I only just learned about it. That's not true! On the day of the murder, the professor told me about her plan. She was going to replace me as headmaster and replace the staff with her arcane constructs. Now, you might say this would give me the perfect motive to murder the professor. However, the supposed murder weapon was stolen from Miss Frigga. This happened weeks before the murder and I discovered the professor's treachery. I had no knowledge of the plan before she told me, and therefore I wouldn't have known to steal Miss Frigga's weapon in an attempt to frame her. Are you satisfied now, Mr. Cuthbert? There's no way the headmaster could have come up with this plan. If he really did do this, that means he stole the rapier too, right? Most likely. His alibi makes sense. He couldn't have planned this whole thing unless he knew about Bellwether's plan. Doesn't mean he knew about this weeks ago, but how did he find out? The best way to tell convincing lies is to leave a lot of truths and change only one detail. Maybe Bellwether did tell him, but she actually told him a week ago. How did he prove that? And I had something somewhere about... Aha. According to Jan, Bellwether revealed his plan to the headmaster in the meeting weeks ago. What? Oh, okay. I just have to present it here instead.
Objection!
Redmond, you keep saying you didn't know about Bellwether's plot before yesterday. Do you still plan on standing behind that claim? Of course I am, because it's the truth. Sorry, Redmond, but you should really close your doors during your meetings. What? It is true that Bellwether revealed her plan to you during one of your meetings. In fact, John Hughes happened to overhear that same meeting, but he only overheard the part where his staff would be replaced. And that's the strangest part, Redmond. According to Mr. Hughes, this meeting occurred weeks ago. You can't accuse the headmaster of perjury based on a rumor. Everything you've just said is based on second-hand information. Mr. Hughes distinctly overheard the staff would be replaced with arcane constructs. That is too specific and too accurate to assume he misheard a different conversation. The professor probably only revealed her plan for the arcane constructs. That still doesn't prove he knew about her treachery beforehand. Professor Bellwether had no authority over the cleaning staff's employment. It wouldn't make sense for her to just reveal her plan for the arcane constructs. That would only make sense if he knew Bellwether would be taking his job. So tell me one thing, Redmond. Why did you find the need to lie about this? Is it because you saw a need to protect yourself from my accusations? Redmond, I asked you a question. Did you murder Catherine Bellwether? What a fine mess this is. Headmaster? So you truly plan on pushing this, are you? Well, your thesis sounded promising, Mr. Cuthbert, but I believe your arguments could use a little work. You think I killed Catherine Bellwether? Me? I am an elderly man in his late 80s. I was alone and had nothing to overpower Bellwether. I can barely walk, much less wield a rapier. I was alone and had nothing to overpower Bellwether with. What proves that he wasn't alone? Exactly correct. There's no way he could have overpowered Bellwether by himself. He wasn't really by himself. What proves that he wasn't by himself? I know that I need to prove he wasn't by himself, but what proves he wasn't by himself? Okay. But you and Bellwether weren't the only people in that room, were you? You needed the arcane construct to carry Bellwether's body. That means the construct would have already been in your office. And with your privileges, you could have easily programmed the construct to stab Bellwether for you. Hey, even so, think about what would have transpired afterward. Recall Miss Steelman's timeline of Bellwether's witnesses. With your theory, the construct would have spent more than an hour in the library. Having it there would have risked my so-called ruse from being discovered. Luckily, like, Frigga can't tell night from day. I wouldn't have the construct linger around the library. The timing deduced from Miss Frigga's testimony is predicated on one thing. She saw Miss Bellwether exit your office after your meeting. However, if we assume that you're lying about when this meeting ended, your entire argument falls apart. Miss Frigga would have encountered Bellwether after her death at 2:01 p.m. Miss Frigga wouldn't have made a mistake like that. Miss Frigga thought it was morning when she saw Bellwether. She can't reliably tell the time. Then what about where the rapier was placed? If I really was the murderer, then that would mean I planted the weapon in young Wallace's locker. Several of the students there that I had access to. I wouldn't have placed incriminating evidence in that locker. Wallace is one of my prize students. If I had to frame anyone, he would be the last person I would choose. Okay, but what do we have that proves that people swap his locker around? No. Arcane construct of the locker. He wouldn't have intentionally framed Wallace. Something was confused by his locker. He placed the rapier. That's not right. That's not right. Oh, I just get to restart it. Okay. Think I killed Catherine? I was alone and had nothing to overpower Bellwether with. Except that there was a construct in your room. Fear, I am so EP. Good night and thank you again for the stream. Thanks for stopping by, Velvet. I was hoping to finish this case tonight, but I'm not sure how close we're gonna get to that. I feel like we're close, though. So confused about whose locker. Yeah, I know what confused him, but I don't know what I need to do to say that. Oh, duh. You're right, Mr. Redmond. You wouldn't try to frame Wallace, but you would try to frame Miriam Frigga. It would have been the perfect act of revenge, wouldn't it? You murder your treacherous co-worker and frame the daughter of the family that helped her. But something went wrong, didn't it, Redmond? The labels on Wallace's locker and Miriam's locker were switched. Anyone who saw that would have easily mixed them up. I am the headmaster of the Imperial Academy. I have records of all the students' lockers and where they're located. There's no reason I would make a mistake like that. If I truly planned this, I would have known where Wallace's locker was. Simple change in labels wouldn't have led me to make a careless mistake like that. Ah, dang it. At least the argument music is really good. Construct in the locker room. But it wasn't you, was it? Your arcane construct was the one who planted the rapier in the locker. I bet you commanded it to place this rapier in the locker of Miriam Frega, but it saw the ID number on Wallace's locker and assumed that it was Miriam's. This is... Miss Steelman, say something! What? Wait... Mr. Cuthbert, your theory may be plausible, but there's no evidence to support it. Ha! You're right, you don't have any proof, do ya? There's no evidence of my orders. Saying that I could have committed the murder isn't the same as proving I did. That's alright. Track the orders. Aha! It has a command log. What? It's not the fact that there's a command log? Okay. How is it anything else? There's no evidence of my orders. Your arcane construct is still in the locker room where it planted the rapier. All we have to do is take a look inside it and we'll see the blood inside. Is that so, Mr. Cuthbert? Why does he still look so confident? Mr. Cuthbert, wait. I already checked inside of that construct during my investigation. The interior was completely clean. What? The construct's primary function is to assist and clean, dear Tyrion. They have a function that allows them to clean themselves inside and out. Well, we can still look at its command history, right? Think about it, Mr. Cuthbert. Do you honestly think the murder would leave behind evidence like that? I'm sure whoever orchestrated the plot, they ordered the construct to wipe its logs when it was finished. No. That's right, Mr. Cuthbert. Your case against me is theoretical at best, but I suppose I can still give you marks for trying. And without of everything, it's seriously to get rid of all the evidence. You're running out of options, but you have one tool left. It's unbecoming to glare like that, young Tyrion. He's doing it again. Bring yourself back to that moment. Think about what's at stake with Wallace like you do with Celeste. His life and future in your hands. Empowered eye. Has to be something you forgot to get rid of. Think about the rapier. I did everything I could to cast a doubt on Fergus' breath. I can't believe Valerie placed a trace of necromancer on the bottom. To make the matters worse, the construct placed the evidence in the wrong locker, so he did send the construct. Miss Vardy also fabricated the documents. It was all to make her look like the murderer, but this doesn't give her anything new to work with. I did everything I could. Think about the construct. It shouldn't have been there if it had followed my orders. No matter. It wiped its logs. They have nothing on me. So he did order it to wipe its logs. In order to cover all of its tracks, it would have probably done this last. Constructors were clear. Plant the body in Electral 2B, and then print the evidence in Frega's locker. It was supposed to head to the storage room afterward. What happened? Interesting. The construct wasn't supposed to be in the locker room. He ordered the construct to go to the storage room. He would have done that after it was finished planting the evidence in the locker room, but we found it in the locker room. Let's stop the construct. The lockdown system. The body was reported earlier than Redmond expected. So, he started the lockdown before the construct was finished. How did the lockdown affect the construct's actions? Redmond's series of commands was interrupted by the lockdown. Wait a minute. Constructs execute a series of commands in order they're given, but let's say one of those tasks is impossible to complete. We'll stop executing the series altogether. So if a task in a series of commands is impossible, that command will interrupt the entire series. The construct's final command was to wipe its memory, but its orders were interrupted by the lockdown then. Miss Steele and I have nothing more to ask this witness. What? You're not giving up, are you? Do you even have to ask? Yeah, I thought so. But how are you going to prove he did it if he's not testifying? Don't worry. The next witness's testimony will be all I need. Look at your face. Look at your face as one to defeat. Just what are you planning? Ha! It's nothing but desperate bravado. Now if you'll excuse me. You've let your quarry get away, Mr. Cuthbert. I hope you know what you're doing. I do, Miss Steelwind. First, I'd like for the Inquisition to bring in the arcane construct in the Academy's locker room. I've already established the murder could have wiped its history. Please, just humor me for a second, Miss Steelwind. Very well. Bailiff, please relay Mr. Cuthbert's request to Commander White. Well, here's your construct. I hope you know what you're doing, Mr. Cuthbert. Construct, what are your orders? Please recite your command history. Reporting, Command 1, standby in Headmaster's office. Command 2, await vocal signal, attack from Theodore Redmond. Prosecutor watches him carefully clutch the handle of the cane. Command 3, treat Catherine Bellwether as a hostile entity and neutralize. Construct, wipe your... Before he can finish his sentence, the prosecutor points her cane at the headmaster. Magical energy shoots from it and collides directly with him. The magic wreathes around his body and stops him from moving. He's clearly trying to struggle against it, but it looks like he can't even move his mouth. Miss Steelwind, excuse the interruption. Please continue. Command 4, await vocal signal, leave from Theodore Redmond. Command 5, move to classroom 2-B. Reply to any inquiries with the voice line number 3. Command 6, remove Catherine Bellwether from interior frame and place on floor. Thank you, Construct. You can stop now. I think we all know the rest. But just to be clear, who gave you the series of commands? Commands were provided by Headmaster Theodore Redmond. How? I ordered the Construct to wipe its command history. Mr. Redmond's constructs don't follow the same logic that humans do. They're prone to error when their commands are impossible to execute. Impossible? In what way were my commands impossible? You were the one that made it impossible. You activated the lockdown system. Lockdown? The body was found earlier than you'd like. You had no choice but to immediately activate the lockdown system when it was reported. However, the construct was still in the locker room when you did this, so that's why it was there. The construct finished its task in the locker room, but then it tried to follow your next command. It tried to move to the storage room, but it was prevented from doing so. Completion of that command was impossible, so the series of commands was stopped before it wiped its history. You little... Theodore Redmond, you ordered your construct to murder Catherine Bellwether. Then you had it place the murder weapon in a locker to flame Miriam Frigga, and we have your construct's testimony to prove it. And that's checkmate. I can't believe it. How could you do something like this, Headmaster? She was going to take everything from me. My position, my academy, my students. Everything would be gone. It was going to be stolen by her and the Friggas. Why didn't you say anything to me? I could have... Don't you dare stand there and act ignorant, Lady Steelwind. Do you think the Friggas acted alone? Your father was part of this plot too. What? I have nothing to say to you. I thought you were different. I listened to your lies about societal reform. In the end, you were just like the rest of the aristocracy. By the scaled lord, what have I done? I was even willing to sacrifice poor Wallace. I can't believe Why did I do this? It appears we have a full confession. The court sees no reason to prolong this any further. Bailiff, please escort the witness to a holding cell. Mr. Cuthbert, you really did it! It feels amazing, right? Like a big weight being lifted from your shoulders. It does, but I can't believe the headmaster was the one who did this. Right, despite everything Redmond did, he was the one that allowed Wallace to pursue his dreams. I'm sorry, I'm sure this is bittersweet for you. What am I going to do now? Headmaster Redmond was the only reason I could even attend the academy. With him gone. Come on, don't think like that. You got acquitted, I'm sure it'll all work out. I want to agree, but necromancy is basically taboo. Without Redmond's support, there aren't many places he could learn it legitimately. And then there's the academy. Hey, don't you get all sad on me, too. Sorry, I was just thinking. With Redmond gone, the Friggas will probably just appoint another sycophant as the headmaster. Valentina, Valerie, and John, they're all going to lose their jobs. Come on, you found the truth and you put a murderer behind bars. You saved Wallace. She's right. As you start to exit the courtroom, you're greeted by Miss Tamora. Was she in the gallery this time? At the end of the day, you saved Wallace from a wrongful conviction. You should be proud of yourself for that. I suppose you're right. Maybe I am just overthinking things. But the doubt still lingers in your mind. Oh, come on, I'm taking Wallace to that restaurant we went to last time. Do you remember how much that place cost? Don't worry, I have plenty of gold. Am I the only person on this team not making any gold? Why don't you meet us there, Celeste? I need to talk with Tyrion for a moment. Alright, let's go, Wallace. Okay. You activated the Empowered Eye again, didn't you? She doesn't appear to be present. I did. I didn't really have a choice. The Eye of Horus is a powerful tool, Tyrion. That's twice now that you used the Empowered Eye to get out of a tough spot. You can't keep relying on it if you want to grow as an attorney. One day you'll find a witness the Empowered Eye won't work on. It's worked for me this far, though. But I suppose you're right. I'll try to rely on it less next time. And that marked the end of another case in my career as a defense attorney. Another life saved, and another murderer brought to justice. But I still couldn't shake this feeling of uneasiness. Was it guilt for what happened to the faculty staff, or was it something else? Episode end. Man, Steelman's been talking with the perp for hours. What's there to even ask at this point? That she doesn't trust his testimony. Something about his memories not matching up with the crime scene. You don't think he has mage blight, does he? No, it's not that. She found that damned symbol etched into his desk. What did she call it? The purple mark? Oh, for the love of... Not this again. Look, if the little lady wants to chase the boogeyman, just let her. At least this time she's doing it personally instead of dragging us into it. Cast sleep. Hey! What's up with... Who did this to your desk? What has gotten into you? I've already admitted to everything. What more could you possibly want from me? Where did this graffiti come from? What is this symbol? What is the purple mark? I don't know. A student must have done it at some point. Think very hard, Headmaster. When did you receive this purple symbol? Focus on the moment you received this. Wait a minute. I remember it now. How? Lady Steelwind. Lady Steelwind! Arya, what happened? Are you okay? That was close. My elation over meeting him almost made me forget. Eris, what are you doing here? Why? Wait, I remember now. It was you! You put those ideas into my mind! You're the one who told me to murder Bellwether! Oh, you humans never fail to amuse me. I didn't make you do anything. Everything you did that day, all the planning, all the preparation, that came from your own mind. And I have to say I was quite entertained with the scheme you came up with. Why, you even broke into Miriam's room. I didn't know you had it in you, old man. You made me forget about our conversation, but how? Illusions can't affect the mind. Magic can't affect the mind. It's a shame, though. I would have much rather turned Wallace into the antagonist of this chapter. Could you imagine if he turned? It would have been spectacular. Armies of the undead running rampant in the streets. But alas, even I couldn't corrupt his pure soul. Answer me. Who are you? What are you? Who am I? I'm the Lord of the Sixth Circle. Ah! What the fuck is going on? God damn it! There's... Oh, the next one is the Origins of Horus. We are going to get back to this as soon as I physically can. Honestly, I'm a little glad I didn't end up doing this for PLLP, because it probably would have taken 5 weeks of PLLP to get through it, because I probably would have done one case every week. God, and this one took almost 2 hours, because it took last stream and this one. But since this is a bonus stream, I can just do it whenever I want, and have time. Which will probably be soon. All I'm saying, I have a couple things that I normally have that aren't happening this week. So it may be soon. Because also, I do really like the idea that we had earlier. I do think it would be very fun to do Doki Doki on stream for Spooky Month. And apparently I'm a visual novel streamer now. But yeah, thanks everyone for hanging out, if anyone's still around. If you are here, and you've been enjoying this, and you want to drop us a follow, we really enjoy that. We're working to get to affiliate right now. And if you want to join our Discord, you can join that at that link. Any streams that you want to find the archives of, we keep those on YouTube there. And we have our Clips channel that we keep mostly updated. So, yeah. Pretty special day, all 2-stream day. But I'm glad we're all enjoying Tyrion Cuthbert, Attorney of the Arcane. I will be getting back to this game as soon as I can. And I think that's all we got